Hello, week 2 warrior, and everyone watching this suffering from insomnia. So, 1 second. Gotta. There we go. It's a little bit better lighting. Okay, so basically, a little bit about me. I had insomnia for 19 years. Still have some sleep problems on and off because I have a sensitivity to sleep problems, as is the case. Like if you're have a sensitivity to depression, if your body becomes ill, your first place that you're going to break down is depression. I have a sensitivity to sleep problems and bowel issues like diarrhea. So if I start getting ill, the first thing usually happens is I stop sleeping and I get really persistent diarrhea. So, anywho, though, like 2 nights ago, not last night, but the 2 nights before, I didn't sleep. And I was like, why am I not sleeping? And if you have chronic insomnia, had chronic insomnia, or have any sleep issues, this will be a common experience you'll have where you'll start sleeping again, then you stop sleeping. You're like, oh no, I've stopped sleeping. Is the insomnia back? Is this going to keep on going now? And at the point I'm at, I can just always figure out what it is. So I went brainstormed. You can see my video yesterday where I brainstormed in the video, and I'm like, I think it's this probiotic that I've been taking. Because the probiotic usage lines up with the insomnia. I stop taking the probiotic, insomnia goes away. It's a soy-free probiotic that's supposedly completely fine, but this just goes to show you that even things that you think are fine or that label themselves as fine aren't. You can't trust labels at all because everyone lies. So basically, we have to be very paranoid about labels because everyone lies, especially supplement companies. They're very full of it. So at least that's what I found by taking the things that are labeled soy free, labeled free of all this stuff, and then I can't sleep it on. Like, stop taking it, start sleeping again. So if you have insomnia or insomnia problems, you want to do is you want to go on a very, very strict elimination diet and do this to help get in tune with how things are affecting you. Like I'm very in tune with my body and how various things affect me. So like I know how soy affects me. I can feel it a little bit. If I take a high dose, I can feel it. But I know soy affects me. Like I know the difference between soy-induced insomnia, magnesium deficiency-induced insomnia, and all these other types of insomnia. Like there's a bunch of types of insomnia I can experience. I know they all feel. So when I had insomnia a few nights ago, I was like, this really feels like a soy autoimmune type of insomnia, not I didn't take enough salt. I also was taking salt and I took vitamin C and all the stuff that I recommend. So I know it wasn't that because I was taking everything, taking raw liver. It's not deficiency. And it might have been stress but I didn't think it was because I didn't think I'd been putting too many demands on myself. So that left soy, tested the hypothesis, and got rid of it. So if you have insomnia, you have to like get out of the frame of I'm going to try to take drugs to fix this because the drugs aren't going to work. Like they'll put a band-aid on it. You won't really get deep sleep or REM sleep anyway. And you're just going to end up building a tolerance to the drugs. You'll stop sleeping once you're on the drugs. And then you're just going to need more drugs. And then the drugs will develop side effects. And then you're going to start taking like bioidentical hormones or something. And those are derived from soy and various things like that. And you're just going to have reactions to those. And then down the chain until you're on 15 different drugs and you're dead. There's an interesting correlation between the number of drugs people are on and their health. I mean, it is obviously selection bias because unhealthy people go on drugs, but it doesn't seem like being on lots of drugs makes you healthy. It seems like drugs are really going to mitigate issues, but they're not actually going to solve anything. And we know that to be the case. So if you have insomnia, what you have to do is you have to get in touch with your body and get in touch with how what you're consuming affects you. So one way that you can develop insomnia that's common is people are trying to lose weight. They cut carbs. So they'll be like, oh, I'm going to only eat 20 carbs a day. And they also cut fat too, because fat's going to make you lose fat. So now they're not eating any carbs. They're not eating any fats. Their body doesn't have any energy sources. So their body can't produce energy, can't produce hormones it needs, can't produce neurotransmitters it needs. And the body ends up just going kaput. insomnia comes in, digestive issues come in, skin problems come in, candida comes in, all these things come in, and it's all because someone threw off their initial macronutrient ratios. And by throwing off these macronutrient ratios, they stop sleeping. So the way to fix it is to say, like, identify that that's the cause. You have to know your body. You have to be able to say, like, what was it that made me not sleep? Was it the nap I took during the day? If I took a nap during the day, like, I feel like I'm not tired enough. Was it not engaging enough physical activity? And in order to understand how all these things affect you, you have to get exposure to them. You have to be physically active. You have to do different diets. You have to eat different kinds of foods. You have to experiment with different meal timings. You have to experiment with all these different things. And by experimenting with them, you say, okay, I know how this affects me. I know how this affects me. And then you can simply follow that intuition to sleep, to health, and all these sorts of ways. So my wife has, since she married me, noticed that a variety of foods that she eats give her insomnia. So she's cut those foods out. And there's other foods she eats them at night, they give her insomnia. But she already had a good relationship with her body. And just a little bit of prompting from me was able to help her notice that these things were causing problems, and then cut them out. And then by her cutting these things out, she stops experiencing insomnia, stops experiencing the symptoms, and gets better, gets healthier. And this has been true of all my clients as well. Like, when you understand what your body needs, what your body doesn't want, and you simply provide your body with the things your body needs. Like, let's say I consume a bunch of seed oils and now I'm not sleeping. I know that berries, probably a whole variety of reasons I can get into why berries fix this for whatever reason, but I know if I consume a bunch of berries and I feel like I'm just like not doing, like, seed oils, I'm just not doing so well. If I eat a bunch of berries, that see like a lot of blueberries and blackberries, that seems to correct the problem. And now I can go and find the science of why, but it starts with that initial observation. Even aspirin, for instance, we get aspirin from birch bark, but the only reason we know that birch bark has medicinal properties is because someone chewed on birch bark and had the intelligence and the wisdom, the connection to their body to recognize the anti-inflammatory effect that chewing on birch bark had. In the same way, they've been talking about recently in medicine how we've had a lack of new drugs coming out because they're trying to develop new drugs from scratch. And pretty much all the drugs that we have that are successful are based on observing um, like indigenous populations or just other societies and what herbs and plants they use to treat things, and then deriving active alkaloids and compounds from those plants. But it comes from the body, though. The wisdom all comes from the body. It comes from listening to your body. So even like how we know benzodiazepines have the effect they have, it all traces back to the body anyway. So if you really want to solve this thing, you have to stop relying on the titrated wisdom of other people and start to develop your own wisdom of the body. Say, like, I'm not just going to do this because you said to do it. I'm going to do it because A, I understand rationally it's a good idea. And I'm not just like irrationally following, like, you know what I mean? If I just said, go drink bleach, it's good for you, and then you go and drink bleach because I said it's good for you, you're dumb and you shouldn't have done that because that gave you no rational reason why it would work. But if you have ideas and you have practices that you want to try and you have rationales behind it, like looking at carnivores, a lot of rationales behind carnivore. Ketogenic diets are very beneficial. High protein diets are very beneficial. They've used carnivore diets, like 36 egg a day diets, to heal burn victims. So there's evidence that high protein, high animal protein, high animal fat diets that exclude everything else, at least for a short period of time or for maybe 6 months. There's the Inuit and like Vilmar Stephenson and like these explorers that went to the Arctic and ate only meat for years and improved health. So we have, and also just the Eskimos eat only meat. So we can go look at these populations and say, eating only meat is something that lots of people around the world do. It's something that people have adopted and they've experienced benefits from. It's something that we have some scientific studies on. Like, you can see it, like it's a legitimate thing. It's not just some random kooky, like, no, when someone's just like, I file my teeth with asphalt for stress relief. Like, cool. I'm not gonna go do that because yeah, there's no reason to. You'd be silly to do that. So ultimately, go try carnivore. You go try carnivore because there's evidence for it. You say, like, you see my story and you're like, wow, he did carnivore and he started sleeping when he had done carnivore. That sounds really cool. Or like you see Michaela Peterson's story and you're like, wow, she had all these health problems and she did carnivore and her health problems went away. And you see like Jordan Peterson talking, and you see him like he went on carnivore and all his health problems went away. And or all but like the vast majority. You see all these people talking about it, you're like, I'm gonna go on carnivore. You go on carnivore and you're like, I feel kind of good, but maybe not good enough. And then you go and you watch my videos, you hear I like eat raw beef liver. And you're like, that sounds weird. And you listen to another video and you're like, he says take salt if you're on carnivore, and you take some salt and you're like, I feel better. And then maybe for a few weeks you're on carnivore and you're taking salt and you're drinking lots of water. And then you're like, I'm gonna go eat some raw beef liver. I know it's really weird, but that guy said to take salt and taking salt helped me. And now I'm gonna go eat some raw beef liver. Maybe that'll help me too. Eat some raw beef liver. I feel really good. Maybe you take some B vitamins first. You know, those help. And you're like, well, beef liver has B vitamins. Then you go eat some, and you notice that helps you. You're like, okay. He also says you should like drink organic green tea. You go drink organic green tea. You're like, I feel like getting this too. And you start taking more of my advice, but then you start doing it yourself. You notice how you feel, and now you're developing your own wisdom and your own intelligence and your own experience to pull from. And you maybe write this stuff down. You start developing a relationship with your body and learning how things interact. And you can do that through the stuff I tell you to do, because this stuff works. You can start here. You can start with the diets that I give in other videos. You can say, okay, start here and then move off from there as your body dictates, basically. But I give you good starting points and good ideas. Like, here's how to eat a carbohydrate based diet. Here's how to eat fermented foods. Here's how to improve your gut health. Here's how to eat a only meat diet. Here's how to alternate between them. Here's how to do cyclic keto. Here's how to have a healthy sleep cycle. Here's how to have proper sleep hygiene. Here's how, like, give you all these things. You can take what's useful, discard what's not, and add what's uniquely your own. And that's really going to be how you're going to fix this insomnia. Like, I can give you all the sleep hygiene in the world, but what sleep hygiene is going to work for you? You need to know what sleep hygiene is going to work for you. On that note of sleep hygiene, getting off screens, blue light blockers are really good. Going for walks, making sure that you, I consider part of sleep hygiene getting sun in my eyes in the morning. Helps my circadian rhythm. Relaxing at the end of the day, not eating too close to bed, not doing anything too close to bed. Being in bed before 11 o'clock really helps me fall asleep. If I'm in bed past like 11:30, I don't really sleep well at all. All these things are really important for sleep hygiene, but at the end of the day, you have to notice how those things affect you, because those may not be the most important thing for you. And ultimately, even supplements, like, I go through periods of time where I don't take supplements because I can tell that my body doesn't really, like, it's not feeling those at the moment. It wants a break from supplementation. And then I go through other periods of time where I take a lot of supplements. I feel like they're benefiting me tremendously. And I mean, I'm always taking like salt. Like, salt's a basic nutrient, magnesium to some degree, like vitamin D, but like maybe depending on my dietary needs, I won't take B vitamins as much or something. Like, it varies. So the key is to not be dogmatic about it, and to, like, fish oil. What about fish oil? I find fish oil, you definitely need omegas, and you can get omegas from grass-fed meat. You can get omegas from fish. You can get omegas from fish oil. You can get omegas from organic milk, raw milk, grass-fed dairy. You can get omegas from a variety of sources. You need omegas. Having improved gut health helps omegas because your gut bacteria can synthesize omegas. So really, again, like, you need omegas, and then also omegas help your gut health. So really, I think fish oil is great though. Make sure it doesn't have toxins in it. Cod liver oil is really good. Like, Carlisle brand cod liver oil available through Amazon is very good. Doesn't have any nonsense. It's the only one I know of that doesn't. So that's very good for vitamins, minerals, and essential fatty acids. But yeah, see how you react to that. See how you react to grass-fed meat. See how you react to all these other sources of omegas that I talked about, and to really develop this relationship with your body and look into supplementation. So for chronic insomnia, look into zinc supplementation, magnesium supplementation, vitamin D supplementation, salt, calcium, vitamin A, K2, creatine, ubiquinol, all these different vitamins that you need to synthesize proper neurotransmitters. Look into all of those. Make sure you're taking those. Make sure you're getting balanced amounts of energy in your diet from carbohydrates and fats. Make sure your foods are digesting well, easily digestible. All health starts in the gut. If you can't digest things, you're having digestive problems, start there. And you want to build up your digestive health by consuming probiotic foods that are easily digestible, preferably liquids first, and then reintroducing more solid foods, and then getting to foods that are harder and harder to digest as your digestive capacity builds. And on that note, I'm going to wrap up, but tune in tomorrow and subscribe, like, share, turn on notifications if this was helpful. And if you're experiencing insomnia currently, don't hesitate to hit me up on Facebook, and be sure to check out my insomnia playlist down below. Also, my Facebook is down below too.